Hello and welcome to today's video. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to change your oil in a third generation Ford Focus. This video is going to show you everything you need to know to do your oil change at home. To change your oil, you will need oil and an oil filter, an oil drain pan, wrenches or sockets, and an oil filter wrench, which makes it much easier to get the oil filter off. You might be able to do it by hand, but I much prefer that wrench, and I have these linked down below if you want to pick one up for yourself. The first thing to do is to lift up the front of the car. This will give us access to our oil filter and our drain bolt that goes into the oil pan. There are a few ways of doing this. I am going to use ramps because I think this is the easiest way. You could just drive right up onto them, but you could also jack up the front of the car to lift it up. I'm going to show you me putting this on ramps right now. Looking under the vehicle in the front, there is a belly pan that needs to be removed here. To do that, there's a series of Torx head fasteners that go up through the belly pan. You only need to remove ones that you could visibly see over the pan here. Once you got the 3 in the front, there are another 3 in the rear. And then this pan could just be removed out of the way. Next up, we could get under our vehicle and find our oil filter, which is towards the front of the vehicle, and our oil drain plug, which is right up here. Let's pop the hood and open up the oil fill location just to let air rush in and let the oil drain as fast as possible. To pop the hood, this is in the driver's door footwell compartment. You just pull this right here and your hood will pop. And then to do the final release, there is a lever right here towards the passenger side of the vehicle. You could pull this in with your hand and your hood will lift up. Then you'll take your hood prop, stick it right there, and your hood will be held up. Now let's open our oil fill location, which is located right here on top of the valve cover. To do that, you'll just turn it a quarter turn or so, and it will lift out of place. Next up, we could get ready to remove our oil drain plug, which again is right here. To do that, I'm going to get my oil catch pan in position here, and then I'm going to use my ratchet with a 15mm socket on there to get on the drain plug, and then we'll loosen that up. All right, now that I've got my pan in position to catch that oil, we could crack open the drain bolt. And with it loose, you could unscrew the bolt, putting pressure in towards the engine. This will prevent oil from leaking out until you're ready for it. Once you're at the end of the thread, we're going to quickly pull this bolt outwards and get our hand out of the way. And now we're just going to let that drain out. And now I'm going to leave my oil drain plug out there so this thing keeps dripping. And while I do that, I'm going to remove my oil filter, which again is located right here. To remove this, sometimes you could do it by hand, but in my case, I'm going to use these oil filter pliers, which I think make it a lot easier. You're able to just grip onto the filter like this and loosen it right up. And there we go. As you can see, oil is dripping down over that filter here. Now that most of the oil has dripped off of that filter, I'm going to unscrew this and pour it into my pan. And next up, we could prepare our new filter. I do have filters and oil linked for this car down in the description below, so you could pick up the right parts for your vehicle. All you have to do to prepare this is open this up, and you want to put a little bit of oil on this O-ring right here. That'll just help this go on and make sure it seals up really nicely. And this here is the flange that the oil filter is going to go back on. Ours looks really clean, so I'm just going to give it a light wipe with the paper towel. Make sure there's no debris on there that would prevent it from sealing. And now we could go ahead and get our new filter up into place. There is a torque spec for this, but generally if you touch it on and then turn it a good bit more by hand, just until it's firm. You'll be in good shape. Another note is you want to make absolutely sure that that O-ring that was on this filter is not still on the flange from the old filter, and that there's only one total O-ring on there. In my case, that old O-ring came right off with the old filter, and obviously this new filter had that O-ring right on there. It's also not a bad idea at this point to write a date and mileage on this filter, just so you know for next time in case you forget. Last thing to do down here is to put our oil pan bolt back in. That rubber seal looks like it's in good shape on this one, so I'm gonna go ahead, thread this in, and then we could get our belly pan back on and fill this up with oil. There we go, we'll touch that off, clean up any excess oil drips, and the last thing to do is to torque that. You could do this by feel, but I personally prefer to torque it so it's not too tight for the next person that has to remove it. Now we're going to get up there with this torque wrench and torque that to 20 foot-pounds. Now this is semi-optional. Again, you could just do this by hand, but since I have a torque wrench, I'm going to torque it to the proper spec, and I would recommend that if you have one, that you do this. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this belly pan back on, and then we'll fill up the vehicle with oil. Next up, we could fill up the vehicle with oil. As you can see here, engine oil for the 2 liter is 4.5 quarts, so that's what we're going to put in here. And now we could fill up our oil. To do that, I like to put a funnel in my oil fill to make it a little bit cleaner. And then we're going to fill this up with what it says on the oil cap, which on this vehicle is 5W20 oil. I have a bunch of oils linked down below, so you could order them for your vehicle, and then you might not even have to go to the store. Now that this is filled up, I'm going to cap up the oil fill, back this down so it's on flat and level ground, and then check the dipstick just to verify that we have the right amount of oil in there. Now we're going to pull our oil dipstick, which is this right here. To do that, you're just going to pull this straight up, and then you'll need a rag or a paper towel. And what you want to do is wipe down this stick and get all the oil that's actually on it off. Then you'll put it back in its place, make sure it's all the way down, and then lift it back out. What you're looking for is to see that the oil level is between the 2 holes on the stick, so that right there and that right there. And you'll want your oil level between the middle or the upper end. I personally prefer at the upper end just to make sure there's definitely enough oil. And if your car consumes oil, that it won't run low if it consumes some. So in my case, I just need to add a touch more, and then this vehicle is good to go. The last thing I'll do is show you how to reset your oil service light. If we put our key in the ignition right now and turn it to the on position without starting the car, you can see that oil change required comes up on the dash. To reset this, you're actually going to go onto your pedals and press and hold the gas and the brake pedal. And as you can see, while I'm holding these pedals, service oil reset in progress comes up on the dashboard. You're going to keep holding those pedals, and then eventually the message is going to change and say oil reset complete. Now this does take about 25 seconds on the pedals, so be patient holding that down. But when you do this, your service light reset is complete. And with that, your oil change is complete. The last thing to do is just to properly dispose of your oil at a recycling facility or at a participating auto parts store. Like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more, and I hope this helped you out. I hope you guys have a great day.